welcome back to the LA Reads podcast. We're your hosts, Abby
and Leighton, and welcome to our episode on a very hot topic on Book Talk right now, which is we're going to be doing a book review of It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover.
Book discussion. Have you seen the movie yet? I forgot to ask you.
No, I haven't seen.
No,
Shoot. That would have been good preparation.
Shut up. I might talk about the movie a little bit.
Oh, you can spoil it.
Okay, great.
Because I don't know if I ever will go see it unless it's in the context specifically of for this podcast.
Okay, perfect. Great then. Yeah, I'm honestly so excited to deep dive because not only has the book been controversial, but the movie has been controversial. There's just been so much drama around this book, and this author, so I'm stoked.
Yeah.
But first, we need to discuss what have you read this week.
Okay. So this has been a little bit different than our other episodes. Normally we have 2 weeks in between filming, and this time we only have 1, so it was a little bit slower.
We decided to go on a grind for the next month. So once a week.
Yeah, we are back to once a week.
Episodes once a week until, when did we decide? September?
Till October. So our last episode will be
September.
The last week of September.
Yes.
And then we're taking a hiatus or a break.
Yes.
For
That'll
1
be the
month.
end of our season 1, and then we'll take a break because I'm getting married and it's in October and that's just too much going on. So
yes. And then we'll pick back up beginning of November.
Yes. But we're gonna have some guests soon and I'm so excited.
I know. Teaser guests will be coming.
I'm so excited. Okay, anyways, what did you read this week?
Okay. I started with Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey, which was a big thumbs down.
Oh.
Sorry, that was so aggressive. It wasn't that bad, but I'd read Tessa Bailey before, and it's always been more like 3-star, like good, but not
like
great.
D's.
No, not for me, no more. And then I read Give Me More by Sarah Kate, and then I read every single Lily Gold book that she has out, which is Baking with Benefits, 3 Swedish Mountain Men, Nanny for the Neighbors, and Triple Duty Bodyguards.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Were they good?
Yeah, they were like crack cocaine.
I was gonna say, if you read all of them,
they're not large books by any means, but I would say they're like 450 pages, and I think I read all 4 of them in 4 days.
That's amazing, though.
It was so bad, but I was living for it. I was glad. I've been in a reading slump for a really long time, so if I need something that,
that's good,
actually gave me some semblance of joy, nice change of pace.
I love it. Okay, this week I listened to 2 books. So I listened to It Starts With Us, which is the second book in the After It Ends With Us. And then I also listened to The Duke and I, which is the first book in the Bridgerton series.
Oh,
it
yes.
actually was pretty good. I think the style of writing is really interesting, and I tried to read it on my Kindle once and didn't go with well. So it's definitely like an audiobook type book for me.
Yeah, some books are better on audio for some reason.
I liked the audio. The audiobook was great. So that was great. But that's the only books that I've read this week, but I'm quite literally in the middle of 5 different books.
Why was I gonna say the same thing?
I'm 150 pages into Quicksilver.
Oh, I've seen so much about that.
Yes. Anyways, I started the Windy City series. I'm in 100 pages into Mile High. I know, I'm so excited to tell you that.
Oh my gosh. I love that series.
And then I literally I should have bought it for you. I literally didn't even think about it until this moment. The Orem Barnes & Noble released Daydream too early.
Oh my gosh, I saw that. It was 10 days early.
So they were all out on the table, so I grabbed one. But I've only read the first 2 chapters. I literally, kid you not, cannot remember who any of these characters are to save my life.
I will say some series are really good at doing the found family aspect of I remember every single character because they're so. Something about this Maple Hill series, even when I went into Wildfire, I'm I've never heard of these people.
Where do they come from? Well, then the issue is I'm getting them because the book is so similar to the Off Campus series that I literally was I'm reading it and I'm wait, when did this happen? And I was mixing things that had happened in the Off Campus series into this book, and then I was wait, my brain was just combining.
Where's Garrett Graham?
Yeah, I'm it's mixing in all of these different stories, and I'm wait, I'm so confused.
I remember is Nate Hawkins. Hawkins?
Yes.
Hawkins and Anastasia.
Yeah,
how do you say her name? Whatever. And then
I know Russ. And I know Henry. Henry's like my favorite character.
Yes.
But like, what's the main girl's name in Wildfire?
She does have a name. She's blonde.
I know
She's
that.
on the cover.
Yep.
Why do I want to say it's like
I literally can't remember what it is.
Tess? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
so bad. Anyways, moral of the story, I'm in the middle of like 3 or 4 different books right now, so
I vote prioritize the Windy City series.
I know I want to. I was really vibing with it, but then like I said, I've been really busy and also a lot of wedding stuff and just a lot going on, so
Fair enough.
yeah.
Good
But anyways,
excuse.
okay, I just want to jump into this, but first I do want to say there's going to be spoilers for the book, so if you have not read the book, do not continue unless you're never going to read the book. And I also just wanted to give like a quick trigger warning because this book does revolve around domestic violence and abuse and things like that. So this is your trigger warning for those types of topics. If you have never read this book and you don't know if that's going to be okay with you, just we'll see you next week. We love you. You can go listen to some of our other episodes instead.
Yeah, I recommend Throne of Glass Part 1 and our Reckless video.
So good.
My 2 favorites.
Yes. Anyways, okay. Where shall we begin?
Okay. I don't even know how to unpack this book. I guess for context, I read this book a long time ago. I want to say like 2017.
Wait, can I hold on? I'm gonna look to see when this book was released because I actually don't even know when it was released.
Because
Continue,
this was one of the first books I picked up on my reading journey, and I started reading middle of 2017, so maybe 2018.
This book was released in 2016. Okay, it's a lot older than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's been around since I swear the beginning of time. Since the freaking prehistoric
I didn't know
age.
this.
And I feel like, I mean, this might not be the case, but at least for me personally, this is the book that put Colleen Hoover on the radar. I think for a lot of people.
Yeah.
She had a lot of books out before this, I'm sure. But this is the first Colleen Hoover book I ever picked up in about 2017, 2018. And since then, I've read a few. I've read Verity, All Your Perfects, November 9, and there's one other one that I'm missing Ugly Love.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm fairly versed in Colleen Hoover.
Yeah, see, I'm not.
And I would say overall, to me, a lot of people find her polarizing. They either love her or they hate her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like so dead in the middle. Like for me, Verity is one of her most popular books. I did not like Verity.
Yeah.
Not for me. All Your Perfects, not for me. November 9, not really for me either.
So
Ugly
none of
Love
them are really for
was
you.
mid. It was fine. And this one's probably my favorite.
Yeah, this one. So, and I do want to give the context too. So, I had never read any of her books because I started like reading more like last year, and I read Sarah J. Maas. I feel like there are two types of people in this world. It's you either got started in reading from It Ends With. If you started reading the past 2 years, you got into reading because of It Ends With Us or because of Akatar, and there's literally no in between. But yeah, so I had heard of Colleen Hoover, but I didn't read romance really. It wasn't until like last October that I actually started reading romance. And I thought it was a romance book. And then after I did start reading romance, everyone on their dog was like, Colleen Hoover's writing is terrible. Their books are literally awful. They're so smutty. They're so raunchy. They're literally miserable. They were like, and so I was like, I'm never going to read them. But then the movie came out and I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, that honestly kind of looks good. So I read it before I saw the movie. And I genuinely have to say, I was genuinely surprised by the quality of writing, just because I think I was like anticipating it to be like way bad, like fanfic style, like terrible. But I feel like it actually had like very good like writing techniques and strategies and things within it that I thought were so good.
Yeah, I would say overall, if I gave an opinion of Colleen Hoover, I would say she's not my favorite. I don't love her, I don't hate her. She's fine, whatever. But I will say this is one of my favorite books that I've ever read by her. Yeah. So I understand why people like it. But the one thing that drives me absolutely bonkers, and I just don't know how to feel about it, is the fact that we're touching on a very intense topic. Yeah. Right? We're touching on domestic violence. Yeah. But we're packaging it in this like weird kind of comedic at times box.
love triangle things.
Well, it's not. It's like she's writing letters to Ellen DeGeneres,
Which
and
is
she's
yeah.
having like these really emotional moments to freaking Nemo the entire time.
Yeah.
When she first meets the second time she meets Ryle and she sprains her ankle or whatever, the whole scene is happening and he's in like an animal onesie.
Yeah, there's like the most like obscured, like humorous like points that you're like, what is going on?
And I feel like maybe
Which is
her
fair.
idea was like it's such a heavy topic. She wants to lighten the
Yeah.
mood at times, which totally understandable, makes sense.
Yeah.
But to me, it felt like while I was reading two completely different books because it would be so heavy and so dark and like so emotional.
Yeah.
And then it would be like, dear Ellen DeGeneres. And I'm
Yes.
like, what is going on?
So I had to ask some of my friends because I was like, what in the F is up with the Ellen letters? But apparently that was like a thing. Like people did that, like with the Ellen show, which I didn't know that. So that like made more sense. But like as I was reading this book, I just was like, I cannot tell. Because again, we've talked about this before, but we're very analytical when we read it. So I'm definitely like reading into a lot of things, I feel like, when I was reading this book. And I was like reading it and I'm like, either she is a genius and she's doing this so well, or she's just like accidentally doing these things and I'm just reading really into it and she's actually not that great. I just am making this more than it is because I really like this book because I thought she did a really good job at like making you as the reader understand why someone in a position like Lily is in would stay and like why they don't just leave an abusive relationship. And I think the way that she did that in a lot of ways was adding these like random, like just normal lifestyle or humorous moments to be like, look, it's not all bad. Because the entire book you're like, well, is Ryle bad? Is he not? I don't really know. And then like you start to be like, and so I feel like those like more like humorous, like light moments, like makes you not think that it's as bad as it actually is. And I think that's literally the point of the book.
I will say it was really interesting because the way that she framed Ryle as an abuser was he almost had a medical condition where he would get so angry he would black out and then not remember anything that happened. And then he'd be super regretful and be like, I'm so sorry this happened. I
like
didn't
anger
even know.
management for sure.
I didn't even know what I was doing. But she framed it as blackouts, like rage blackouts, which as somebody who has not experienced domestic abuse or I don't know anybody in my immediate family or close friends who has either, I don't know if I'm the most qualified to touch on this, but in my head, from what maybe I see in media or read in books and things like that, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
She almost made you want to really like Ryle.
Yeah.
And be like, well, she keeps saying over and over and over again, there's no such thing as bad people, only people who do bad things. And she's trying to say, Ryle's an abuser, but he's a good person.
Yeah.
He just has like a medical condition, which I don't think is the case for a lot of scenarios of abuse. I don't think it's like a medical condition.
Yeah.
And they don't black out. I think a lot of people probably remember what they're doing. And so it was weird because I know she's writing from personal experience. I don't know if you read the author's note at the end.
Yeah.
But she talks about how her mom and her dad were in an abusive relationship. So maybe that was the case for her personal experience. But I feel like it's interesting because a lot of people take this as like the standard of what abuse looks like. And
That's
I don't think it's an accurate depiction from what I can tell.
Yeah, because, I mean, again, like you said, like, this isn't, like, something I've ever been in before.
Yeah.
So I don't really actually know what the situation's like. I think I just was seeing it from the perspective of, like, oh, she's making it. Because I do say, like, I feel like when we read a lot, I feel like usually when there is a villain or someone that we're not supposed to like or someone that is abusive or whatever, it is usually, like, to the extreme. Like, it is usually, like, very, very dark or very, very bad. But I felt like with, like, there was, like, truly there was 3 like abusive scenes in total, and you're like, it's not like he was like, but I like couldn't tell if like that was done on purpose, like in the sense of like you're trying to make him look like a good person because you are trying to make the reader understand what Lily is going through, or if it was poor writing and you missed the mark and you were not really portraying it correctly. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell. Like, and that's what I'm saying when I'm like, I can't tell if she's a genius or if she just has these accidental, like, things that she didn't really do on purpose. You know what I mean?
I think it's hard because I think she's put in a really difficult position because she's been elevated on this pedestal of, like, this is what domestic abuse looks like. And like we said, that's not necessarily the case for everybody. But I think a lot of people are frustrated with her because they think she's almost being irresponsible in a sense of saying, like, you're telling everybody this is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from her point of view, she's saying, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is what I saw firsthand.
Yeah.
And she didn't ask to be elevated on that pedestal and to be a major representative of what domestic abuse looks like. But she kind of just, it was thrust upon her and she had to deal with it.
Yeah.
And now I feel like she's dealing with a lot of consequences of telling her own story.
Yeah, which is really interesting. And I do think it was really interesting too because I did go into this book thinking it was a romance book. Like, I was like, this is a fluffy romance of some sort. Like, I don't really know what happens. Like, I had no idea what the concept of it was. And then at the very end, when you have the scene with her baby and she says the last line of, like, it ends with us, I was like, this really at the end of the day isn't a romance book. Because because to be clear, like, what's industry standards? There we go. That was what I was looking for. Industry standards is to be acclaimed as a romance book. It means that it has a relationship that they end up together in the end. And by the end of this book, you have a little bit foreshadowing that her and Atlas maybe will end up together, but they don't. And so I would say that this is more of a literary fiction, and that was why I was reading into, I think, a lot of, like, the domestic violence stuff, because I was like, this isn't a romance book, it's more of a literary fiction to talk about this topic. But I do agree where it's like you're now basically trying to, like, depict this thing that is very different for a lot of different people. So I don't know. I think it's hard to judge, like, and decipher between when I've never really gone through it, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of why she made the literary choices she did was explained in the author's note, because she talks about, you know, her dad was really abusive.
Mm-hmm.
However, her mom never stopped her from having a relationship with her father, and she had a really great relationship with her father, even though her mom did not, which is really interesting.
That's really interesting.
Because, like we said, we're not people who have experienced this, so I don't know. But I would feel like a lot of people in that case would say, I don't want any relationship with my father. Or as a mother, you'd say, I don't want my child to have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
Because he has a history of abuse, right?
Yeah.
That's why when I got to the end and she finds out she's pregnant, which, oh my gosh, I hate the pregnancy trope, and I hate it even more in this context, because I thought for a half second that she was going to stay because she was having a baby. And I'm like, absolutely mother freaking not.
Well, and it makes you think that she might.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not rocking with that.
Yes.
Like, I don't like an accidental pregnancy in a fluffy romance where they fall in love and they end up together. I sure as heck don't want it here.
Yeah.
But she decides to leave Ryle, which I'm like, thank freaking goodness.
Yeah.
And then she decides, she has like a line where she's like, I'm not going to stop Ryle from having a relationship with his daughter, right?
Oh, that's interesting.
And then she names her daughter after Ryle's brother.
Yes.
That he accidentally shot. And then you find out at the end, he has enough custody that he can have days without any supervision, right? He can have days with Emerson by himself. Because when she runs into Atlas, she's like, oh, I'm just dropping Emerson off.
He just doesn't, she doesn't sleep over, she never sleeps over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You get more details, and it starts with us and how that all ended up. But yes, continue. Yes.
But like,
he gets unsupervised time with her. Yes.
In that case scenario, if I try my best that I can with the knowledge and life experience that I've had to put myself in her shoes, I feel like I would be somebody that would say, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You are not touching my child.
Yeah.
I know she's 50% yours biologically.
Yeah.
But like with your history and your medical condition and everything, you are not getting custody of her. You are not getting unsupervised visits with her. You are not having a relationship with her. And I feel like if somebody else were in her shoes, that's like probably an option a lot of people would take.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
Since she kept such a healthy relationship with her father, I feel like that's specifically why she framed it in this way.
Yeah.
Which, like we said before, I think is probably a more unique situation.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it is interesting now you saying that, because in It Starts With Us, you, like I said, you get a little bit more insight on what that looked like. And Lily in the book in It Starts With Us does have like a little bit more, like, I feel like at the end of this book it makes it seem like it's a little bit more like open than it actually is. And It Starts With Us, because in It Starts With Us, like, yes, he takes her like for like the day or for a couple of hours or whatever, but like she won't allow him to have her overnight. And like he like keeps asking throughout the book, being like, "Can I have her overnight?" And she finally says, she goes, "Not until she can talk." And she goes, and he goes, "Why?" And he's like, "So that she can tell me if you do something." And I was like, fair enough. Like,
yeah,
that's valid. But yeah, that is really interesting. Like you kind of start to see like maybe some of Colleen's actual life experiences pulling into that, but it's like, I don't really feel like you said, like, I don't really feel like that would be a
common choice.
Yeah,
that people
common
would
choice.
Make.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I don't know.
I was not happy with that ending, personally. Just because if I were in her shoes, I would not do that.
No.
Which, I don't know if I'm in the minority there, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't. Yeah. I don't know. And I don't know if, like, the reason why, like you said, you get the explanation of, like, maybe it's these, like, blackout things, and that, like, you know, he had this traumatic experience when he was younger, like, and that's what's causing all these things. And it's like that's supposed to, like, make you, like, understand it a little bit better. I don't really know. Now I'm so unsure now.
I will say, I made a note of it in after Ryle pushes her down the stairs, right? Mm-hmm. She specifically has a line, like, once they're talking through it and he's apologizing and she's in her bed and he looks all shaken. She's like, "I know Ryle is not like my dad. Ryle is compassionate." And then she says, specifically, "He donates to charity and he lets me park in the garage." Excuse me. I don't think great, he donates to charity, but I think there's probably a lot of people out there who donate to charity not because it just fulfills their life goals to donate to charity. And then your next best reason is the garage?
I think that I genuinely thought, and again, going back to, I can't decide if she was a genius writing this or if she just is dumb and I'm reading too far into it. But again, I see that as like Lily in the moment is trying to talk herself into staying with Ryle. And so she's coming up with literally the most obscure things that are coming to her mind.
And then on top of that, and I think this is right after he pushes her down the stairs, she's trying to like justify everything that's going on. And the Amy, right? The sister, whatever, is like, "You need to hear why he is the way that he is." And then he goes into his childhood trauma and says, "I accidentally shot my brother when I was really young, and I killed him. And we know when we met him on the roof, he was having a particularly hard time because he lost a young boy who was accidentally shot by his brother."
Yeah.
But all very valid reasons to be traumatized.
Yes.
But valid reasons for abuse? I don't think so.
No. Nothing ever is validating abuse at all. Like, if you were laying a finger on someone, like, there's nothing that's validating you. You can be upset or have triggering moments, but, like, I don't like the idea of, like, that we're validating his feelings in any way. And I didn't like that part either.
Yeah, it felt like he was like, "Oh, yeah, doesn't that make perfect sense?" And you're like, no, just because you have childhood trauma, that does not make it make sense to why you are... have a hard time, obviously, but, like, you obviously can't hit me. That's an inexcusable action that you've done, right? But now it feels like a justification that the reader is supposed to be like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." And
well,
you're like,
no. And it would make sense in a little bit more if it was more of like a PTSD thing, and like, you know, in the moment, you know, I'll use the example of, like, you know, in Grey's Anatomy, you have Owen and Christina, and Owen would basically get like triggering PTSD because of the ceiling fan and like choked Christina. Like, you had this thing that triggered your PTSD and it made you attack the person next to you. It wasn't because you meant it to be malicious, but it just, like, your PTSD is real, you know? So it would make sense if, like, there was something in those certain situations that, like, triggered Ryle to, like, have those blackout moments. But there was nothing about them that were giving, like, PTSD, like, blackout moment. Like, it was literally just his temper got the better of him. And I don't really feel like having a bad temper and having anger issues equates to why, like the thing that happened with Emerson doesn't equate to him having, like, anger issues. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm really sorry you've had this traumatic experience, but that doesn't correlate to me in my head.
Yeah,
really.
no, it feels not related at all. And I 100% agree. Like, in Owen's case in PTSD, that's a serious medical condition.
Yeah.
Where he would black out and not remember anything. And, like, you knew when he came back in, he had no intention of actually hurting Christina.
Yeah.
Right? But it feels like, his was due to temper issues. So he obviously, it's hard to tell because she didn't really explain his medical condition and, like, what it exactly entails. But I would assume he had some sort of intention of, like, I'm so angry, I need to put my anger somewhere.
Yeah.
And you're standing right in front of me.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that is really weird.
Another thing, this is so random. But, we established he has this medical condition that leads to, like, he can't control his anger and leads to blackout. How is he a doctor? You're telling me he's a neurosurgeon?
He can be patient for, like, 24-hour surgeries?
Yeah. I'm like, something's not going to set him off at the hospital. Yeah. And, like, feels like a pretty high-stakes career where you would probably need to go through several medical screenings to be like, you don't have any underlying issues.
Yeah, like, you're mentally stable, right?
Yeah, we're quite literally putting people's lives in your hand, and you can't touch a casserole dish without throwing a fit?
Yeah.
Somebody get this guy a new profession, because I read that, I was like, no.
That's so funny.
That can't be real.
Okay, wait, I do have a question, though, because the whole, like, Atlas plotline, I think, is a really intriguing thing to me.
Yeah.
Because truly, the only reason why he's there is to cause problems.
I love
But
Atlas.
I have, like I said, I love Atlas. But I do have a question, because, I am not validating what Ryle did. There is nothing you can do that's going to validate why you hurt someone physically, okay? Nothing. However, I want to know, do you think that Ryle was in, like, had it, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Do you think that Ryle was, like, in the wrong? Or do you think it was, like, fair that he was upset when, you know, he finds Lily in the bathroom with Atlas and he finds the number? Like, he finds these things about Atlas that, granted, again, those do end up triggering him having the physical altercations, and that's not okay. But, like, him just being angry in general, do you think that that's, like, fair? I can't remember what the word I'm thinking of is.
I think it's fair to be upset. Because if you know,
valid.
I can't remember.
That's the word I was looking for, valid.
I can't remember if when he stumbles upon Atlas and Lily in the bathroom, if he already knows at that point that they have a history together.
In the bathroom, he goes, she calls him Atlas, and he goes, Atlas, the homeless guy, and they get in a fight.
Yeah, he goes, Atlas, the homeless guy that you pity?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That's the whole scene.
Oh, yes. I do think he's valid to be upset.
Yeah.
I just can't with people who can't communicate, because if he
asks no questions, and that's what's brutal.
It feels like there's a giant, like, miscommunication trope, somewhat miscommunication adjacent trope with the two of them, because I'm like, take a mother freaking breath and be like, why?
Yeah.
Why were you in the bath? Explain it to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But it is hard because at the same time, if I was going to the bath, if I found Andrew, for example, in a bathroom with one of his exes, I'd be like, what the F are you doing? And I wouldn't really want to ask questions for a sec. I would literally freak out and be like,
or like,
what are you doing? You know?
Not that this is the appropriate response by any means, but be pissed. Walk away and say, I can't deal with you right now. Go away.
Yes.
Circle back to it at a later date, obviously, which I don't think Colleen Hoover at any point in time is validating Ryle's actions.
No,
and
no,
like,
not
he's
at all.
obviously an abnormality. So we're saying this, and, you know, it's not going to happen.
Yes.
But I think it's valid to be mad. And I think it's valid, like, when her phone case popped open and he saw the number and called and it was Atlas.
Yeah.
To be like, excuse me,
Yeah.
But then again, take a minute, take a walk, take a breath.
Yeah.
I don't care what you need to take, but it needs to be something.
And again, you can fight, you can yell, but like just don't touch someone. Like, I don't know, anyways, yeah. But I just thought it was really interesting the way that she went about the whole Atlas and Lily thing, because there were moments where it kind of gave me the ick in the sense of like, I did feel like sometimes Lily, like, I don't know. I felt like obviously it's very obvious that like Atlas and Lily should be together from the beginning. Like that is
Yeah.
who you're rooting for, even if they don't end up together in this book. You know what I mean? Yet I feel like she was like, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's nothing. And it's like it's obviously not nothing. So why do you keep gaslighting him into being like, it's not a big deal? Because it kinda is still. Like
Yeah.
you're obviously still in love with this person. So there was like that where I was like, I did feel like there were boundaries that were being crossed within Atlas and Lily that like if I was in that situation I would not be comfortable with, and I'd be like, what are you doing? But again, I'm not validating what Ryle did. Not okay. But like I feel like he does have a valid reason to just be upset in general.
Oh yeah, which I don't think a lot of people are arguing that like he doesn't have any valid reason to be upset, because he does. But obviously the main focus of the book is the cycle of abuse and like how he obviously doesn't have an appropriate emotional response to these kind of situations.
Yeah.
I will say, where is it?
I have a tickle in my throat.
Oh, one of my favorite Atlas moments. Well, one thing I love about Atlas is he's just so to the point. Like, it is so uncommon to have in whatever we're calling this book, literary fiction book,
romance thing,
romance, whatever book, to have a character that just tells you what they're feeling. It feels like we always are doing freaking mental gymnastics to figure out where our main characters are feeling, and then we know they like them, and we know how both of them feel, but they won't say it to each other, and you're like, oh my gosh. He's my favorite, because like when Ryle was about to punch him or whatever, or did, and said like, oh, this is Atlas, the guy that you pity at?
Yeah.
And then Lily finds him and is like, I need to apologize for Ryle. I never said that.
Yeah.
We could have had a miscommunication trope going on. He could have been like, you obviously did.
Yeah.
It just came out of his mouth, and then he could have been pissed.
Yeah.
No, he responds, and he's like, Lily, I know it wasn't a pity F. I was there. And I was like, the man is in touch with his emotions. He knows exactly what's going on.
I love it.
Thank you, because I was not going to go through that. I was like,
he's definitely the more like mature, steady person in the book, which I think is good that Ryle and him have a lot of contradicting qualities, because if they were like the same, you'd be like, Lily, girlfriend, you need to find a different type.
And he's so mature, because like when he's moving away to Boston at the in the flashbacks, whatever, when they're losing touch, he pretty much says like, you know, my life is not in a place where I can be good for you. Like, if I ever am in a place where I feel like I can take care of you, I'll come back for you, but don't you dare wait for me for one moment, because I don't know if that's gonna happen. And I'm like, setting reasonable expectations? I love this man.
Yes.
And then at the end, when, oh my gosh, when is it? When she finds out she's pregnant and she says she's leaving Ryle or whatever. Yeah. He like says, and he's like, I want to make it clear to you, if you ever have it in your heart again to fall in love, I want you to fall in love with me.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
This man.
I was like, okay, I'm so glad we didn't have to deal with like another arc of like, okay, it's been a couple years, or like, you know, I took a step back. Does Atlas still want me? What am I gonna do? Am I gonna end up? He's like, no, I'm gonna make it clear for you. You're it for me.
Yeah.
So don't be confused for 1 second.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you.
You're like, thank you. Also, I will say, all of the different things that Lily did throughout the book that tied her to Atlas, as I figured out what the F was going on, I was like baffled. Like, when the moment I was sitting in a hotel room with my friend, when I figured out what the heart meant, gasped. I was like, I was like, okay, Colleen. I was like, gosh dang. I was like, okay. And then you have like the bibs like magnet, and like her always wanting to go to the rooftops, and like just all of it. I was like, okay, I will say that was pretty good. I liked it.
I will say I don't even know if we touch on this because I don't know how to feel about it. But I know people don't love the fact that in the flashbacks she's 15 and he's 18.
Oh yeah.
When they're homeless and things like that, which I don't think Colleen Hoover framed it in a way where I felt like he was taking advantage of her at any point in time, right?
Yeah.
Like I know people are really I was going to say the word sensitive, and that's not the correct word. But, like, age can be a difficult thing to overcome in these books because you're like, he's so much older than her. I mean, maturity-wise, 15 to 18 is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Completely different person. I don't know. I didn't even realize it until I had finished the book where I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that was the thing.
But also, I'm like, yeah, he was 18, but it's a sophomore to a senior, friends. They were in high school. And sophomores dating seniors is not an uncommon thing.
Honestly, in my high school, all the senior boys dated freshman girls.
Yes.
That was, like, the thing.
Yeah, 100%. And also, in the book, Atlas, like, continually asked, like, didn't kiss her until her 16th birthday.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he, like, and so I'm like, he was obviously aware. He's not trying to, like, do anything bad. He just, like, they're just kids in high school. Like, I don't understand why we're, like, holding him to, like, he's going through crap that makes him a lot more mature than he is, but, like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think that people are dramatic.
Agreed.
Have you seen any of the drama, though, on, like, the movie and stuff?
Oh, my gosh. Yes. We can shuffle to the movie, and then we gotta circle back to the book.
Well, did you have something else you want to talk about the book?
Oh, I just had a few things that, like, stuck out to me that are really random.
Oh, just list them off, and then we'll go to movie.
Okay, first thing first. The topic of Colleen Hoover's writing is very interesting because, like we said, very polarizing. People like it or they don't.
Yeah.
I don't know where I sit in that realm. However, there's a few things. Like, she talks about chairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every single time she brings up a chair, she's like, that's a marine grade polymer chair he just kicked. I think she says it like 10 times
I didn't even
in
notice.
the book. He's like, Ryle comes out onto the balcony and he kicks that marine grade polymer chair, and she doesn't know, or he doesn't know, that marine grade polymer chairs are practically indestructible. And then she's like walking around several chapters later. She's like, dang, if only I had a marine grade polymer chair to sit in. I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
That's so bizarre.
Like, I don't know why we couldn't use the word sturdy. Why are we even describing the sturdiness of the chair?
Why does it matter?
Yeah, it does not. I don't know. Every time I said that, out of body experience where I'm like, is she sponsored? Is this like
I'm confused.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh my gosh, I just remembered something. Continue though.
Oh, and then the other thing that I noticed at the beginning, I made a lot of observations at the beginning of the book because I was trying to be super analytical, and I feel like it was just a blast to the past. Yeah. I was like, wow, I haven't picked up this book in forever. But her name is obviously Lily Blossom Bloom, which jail. First of all, but I'll give it a pass because Sarah J. Maas, for example, does Lorcan Lockin'. Yeah. And, like, kind of pokes fun at it and is like, ha ha ha, whatever. Yeah. But she goes on this tangent and she's like, I don't know if I can open up my flower shop because I don't know if people will think I'm genuine or if people will think that I'm a fraud because my name is just Lily, Bloom, Blossom, whatever. Blossom Bloom, whatever. And I'm like, why are we even having this conversation? Does anybody care about your intentions when opening up a flower shop?
Just open it up.
Like, I think that's a mental hurdle we're having because I don't think one person would be like, I'm not buying flowers from you because your name is Lily Blossom Bloom and this must just be a cash grab for you.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. And then another thing that I've noticed, and I pointed this out in Reckless, and I know it was kind of an unpopular opinion, but I love it when authors are a little bit more nuanced.
Oh, yeah. They
put faith in their reader to understand what's going on. So Ryle says, while they're on the balcony, he says his quote, whatever, that's there's no such thing as bad people, only people who do bad things, right? Mm-hmm. I'm smart. I understand what that means. I understand what he's trying to get at. We then launch into, like, a half-page paragraph that's like, oh, so does he mean that nobody is exclusively bad and nobody is exclusively good? You mean people just everybody's good, but yet they can sometimes do bad things. So people, I'm like, why did we just take a whole paragraph, not even a paragraph, a whole half page to explain everything she so elegantly put in one sentence?
Could have ended it there.
Yeah, could have ended. We all caught on. We knew exactly what he meant. We know. I feel like she wanted to reiterate it because it's kind of the theme of the book. To be like, okay, everybody really understands what this book is about. But not that that's a make or break thing. Honestly, not the end of the world. It's just something that I noticed. I had to take a minute and be like, yeah. Love that we're getting this explanation. And then this whole balcony thing got me messed up because I was not having it.
Side note, it's so long.
It's so long and it's so weird because they do their naked truths and she's like, my father's abusive. He says, oh, I lost a patient to this. And then his next naked truth is, yeah, I want to have sex with you. I'm like, okay, mental jump. We just went from super deep into our feelings to, you're pretty attractive. I would have sex with you.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I thought we were having a moment here. You really took me out of that.
Yeah, we were jumping around left and right.
Well, it made, and maybe this was the goal, but, we were kind of, I feel like we were supposed to like Ryle at the beginning, right?
I think we're supposed to like him through a lot of it, actually, but yeah.
It's kind of unique situation. You're meeting this stranger on a balcony, and you're having this really deep bonding moment, and then I'm like, oh, he's a douchebag.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't know why we even went there.
Yeah.
And then we find out, there's so many things. Her flower shop gets me. Why we had to go on a tangent about how she's opening up a Hot Topic flower store.
Yeah. So quirky.
So quirky. I'm like, she's like, yeah. Why isn't there a flower shop out there that caters to people who hate flowers? I'm like, because they wouldn't buy them.
It's so funny to me. I literally don't understand Lily's character at all, especially after seeing the movie and how they took Lily's character. Then I'm like, I really don't know what the F this character is supposed to be.
Like, I think she really wanted her to be edgy and different and unique and be more thought-provoking than it actually was, because I had to take a step back and I'm like, what the heck are we doing? Like, nobody's gonna sue you for opening up a flower shop because you want to open up a flower shop. It can be a perfectly normal flower shop. No, she's like, yeah, we're gonna put it in leather and chains, and I'm like,
you're like, alrighty then.
I feel like it was unnecessary. Oh, and then she says, somebody once told me, and says that dumb quote Ryle says about good and bad people.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I got this idea for this flower shop. And I'm like, how those are correlated?
Not a single idea.
Not a single idea. Also, why are you taking advice from a random stranger on a balcony who is smoking weed and telling you that he wanted to have sex with you?
Yeah.
Like, probably not a reliable source of information, if I say so myself.
Wait, side note though, speaking of the flower shop, I love Alyssa. Do you like her?
No.
Oh.
Well, I wouldn't say I didn't like her. She was just there.
Fair, that's fair. That was probably my favorite actress in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought she did a really good job.
I feel like, well, she frustrated me because the first time Lily came to her and said, your brother hit me.
Yeah.
She's like, hear him out.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
Then I was like, whoa, girl. No, I understand he's your brother, but no. But then she kind of redeemed herself, because then when she came back after the stairs, she's like, as his sister, I wish you would stay with him and, go through this with him. As your best friend, if you stay with him, I'm never speaking to you ever again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you.
You're like a normal person.
Yes, I was like, that's the response I was looking for, because I understand you're in a difficult position because it's literally your brother.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways, she was there for me.
I did.
And then later in the book, we see, I feel like the book got better towards the end, but the beginning, I didn't know what the flip was going on.
It was a lot of world building. It's a lot of jumping around timeline for sure.
Because then Ryle knocks on her door and is like, I knocked on 29 doors to find you, which I'm an avid dark romance reader. So my creep factor to oh, that's kind of romantic literally anything goes. I'm like, oh, you followed me to London like a stalker?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so romantic of you.
So cute.
Why did I get the creeps? Where I was like, okay, you knocked 29 doors for me.
Yeah.
And then he gives like his monologue. He's like, oh, you're so underneath my skin. Like, I can't stop thinking about you. I'm like, you've met twice.
He's like, I just need to F you once. That's all. They'll get you out of my system. I'm like, okay.
So unromantic and so creepy. And we've literally met twice. So what the heck are you doing at my doorstep?
No, you want to know what is creepy? That gave me the ick was when she goes to Alyssa's birthday party and walks in and realizes that he has a freaking picture of her hanging up in their apartment from the rooftop.
Weird.
That gave me the ick. I was like, okay, creepy.
I know.
That's
like,
obsessive and weird.
I feel like these are all red flag moments. And then he literally falls to his knees, hugs her around her waist like he is a 10-year-old child throwing a fit and says, please, please, please have sex with me. And I'm like, I literally sat there and I'm like, I've never had the ick so strongly in my life. Like, I think she wanted that to be endearing.
Like, playful.
Yeah, like, oh, he wants me so bad. I'm like, he is a man-child. Get off of me. I've met you twice. Get out of here. You are quite
So
literally
weird.
stalking me to a certain degree.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I feel gross, but come on in. Let me shower for you really fast. I'm like, girl, no!
Yeah, I'm like, you found that it for you? Absolutely not.
Yeah, not it for me. I was not
Also,
down
you
for
want to
that.
know another scene that also gave me the ick?
Oh, I know exactly what you're
The
gonna say.
stethoscope scene. What's the freaking thing called? Yeah, stethoscope. Stethoscope scene. Sex scene. You know what I'm
Why
talking
do I
about?
have like no recollection of this?
When he's like, I want your heart rate up to 180 or whatever, and then they keep having sex, and he goes, not quite there yet.
I'd be like, this doesn't work out. I don't like this.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know it, and it gives me the ick. Nothing about that was cute. It just was kinky as frick, but like not in like a good way, and like a. I think that was enough for me for today.
Yeah, which is quite literally so contradictory to what he says when he's on his knees begging to have sex with her. He literally says, you don't have to do anything. I'll do all the work.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
What thing did you think I was talking about?
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the cow manure scene.
What was that?
He's like, I gotta remember it, but for some reason he is like, they're working with something. They're making soap, flowers. I don't know. And she's like, oh, you can't touch me. That has cow manure in it. And he starts rubbing it up and down her arm. And she's like, ha. And then you hear in her inner monologue, she's like, or in her journal.
Yeah.
Letter to Ellen DeGeneres, whatever thing. And she's like, I don't think I would ever string these words together. But the way he was rubbing cow manure up my body was so hot.
Oh, this is with her and Atlas. It's when they're younger.
Atlas,
yes, I was like, I'm not piecing this together in my head right now.
The fact that
It's
it's
with
in the
it was
letter
Atlas.
should be
Yes.
Yes, Atlas. And I'm like, excuse me, girl? I would have thrown a fit.
It's so gross.
It's so gross. Good for you for being able to be playful and in the moment.
This book has so much unhingedness to it. It's hilarious.
It's just like, I keep asking myself, I'm like, why? Why do we do that? Why are we... I don't know, because like I said at the beginning, it's this weird like duality of like heavy topic mixed with like these really random scenes.
Yes.
And I will say, when Atlas gave her the book, the memoir by Ellen DeGeneres, with the Atlas says to just keep swimming, whatever, simultaneously swooned and threw up at the same time. I was like, that's so cringe, but that's so sweet. Yeah, I didn't even know how to feel about it, and then they kept circling back to that dumb Finding Nemo quote. I'm like, it's not that deep of a quote. Why do we use Finding Nemo?
And then she named her child with the middle name Dory.
Oh, yeah, at the end. I'm like, oh my gosh, one, terrible middle name. Two, you think Ryle knows about that? Because I bet you money. If
he finds out and it starts with us.
Oh, yeah, and I bet he drop kicks somebody in the near vicinity. There's no way that goes over well with him.
No.
Yep. I haven't even read that book.
I don't think he doesn't touch anyone in that book, but it gets pretty violent.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
Absolutely not. Anyways,
I'm dead.
I think that's pretty much. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I had. I know not the epilogue, excluding the epilogue, we end on like the Finding Nemo quote again too.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting book.
Actually, sorry. We end with the Finding Nemo quote where it's like, Lily, you don't have to keep swimming. You finally made it to shore.
Yes, but I think that's the end of the epilogue. The end of the book is it ends with us. That's the very last line. I'm pretty sure. Oh wait,
no. No, you're right. Because I think it ends with us for the end of the chapter, and then the epilogue is the swimming to shore.
Yeah.
Which, once again, very cute.
Really, we finally reached the shore, which is just so bizarre. I was like, I read it and I go, I'm gonna be honest, that doesn't really make any sense. I'm gonna be honest.
Gagged. I don't know how I feel about it because it's like I'm getting goosebumps because I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But at the same time, I'm like, it's not peak literature.
Yeah, no. Okay, wait. Can I talk about the movie because
yes,
we're getting lengthy, but literally, okay. Have you seen any of the drama about the movie?
Yes, I think I've seen it all.
Okay, well, basically, to be fair, I actually didn't think the movie was that bad. I thought it could have been better. I think that the casting needed to be like 10,000 times better, but it's whatever. The drama behind this, the PR and everything is literally insane. The cast of It Ends With Us has basically ignored Justin Baldoni, who, those of you who don't know, Justin Baldoni is the actor that plays Ryo.
Yes.
And he was the director of the movie. Everyone unfollowed him on Instagram, has been ignoring him. They went to the premiere together and they didn't talk to him. They did like a big group photo and he wasn't included in it. They sat in a separate movie theater from him. Like, basically, like, Colleen, Blake, and the guy that plays Atlas, and then the kids that play, like, the younger versions of them, all ignore Justin.
Yeah.
Which is so bizarre.
Which do we know why?
They never really fully came out, but basically what people were speculating and also saying was that basically there was, like, a lot of creative differences during the process of making the movie and, like, post-production. So Justin and Blake Lively did not get along very well. And it sounded like Blake Lively was trying to take over the project and do a lot of stuff herself and, like, wanted more creative freedom than what she was getting. And they just had a lot of, like, disagreements between, like, what they thought was best, to the point of she ended up hiring a separate editor to make a different cut of the movie from Justin's because she didn't like what Justin was doing with the movie.
I did not know it went to that extent. I did know she brought on Ryan Reynolds, obviously, to, like, help take part of it, and I think people even said he rewrote part of the script.
Yeah, he wrote the balcony scene. And then, so, like, that happened, and so it kind of made it sound like Blake Lively was kind of, like, trying to run the show a little bit and stepping on his toes. And, like, again, you're gonna have creative differences in a process like that, and everyone was like, well, she's a producer, she has that say, and I'm like, yeah, she has say, but Justin was the director. He has final say.
And he's the one who bought the rights in the movie.
He's the one that bought the rights. He's the director. Like, you, at the end of the day, still are working for him. And also, like, and I just thought it was really interesting, too, because I'm like, he's done this before. He was the director for 5 Feet Apart, which was also a great movie. What I think is interesting was that they were trying to paint Justin Baldoni into a bad light or whatever. But then, in every single interview, he is talking about how, like, he really wants to spread awareness for domestic violence, how he really hopes this helps all of the lilies out in the world. He's been, like, very, like, sentimental with the movie and, like, really has showed that he's, like, been trying to, like, get this, like, stronger message across. Then there's freaking Blake Lively. So grab your florals, grab your girls, and head to the movie theaters to watch this movie. Yeah. And you're like...
That's what I've seen. A lot of people... that I've seen on TikTok that are talking about it are saying that, like, Colleen Hoover and Blake Lively are almost trying to, like, sell it as, like, the Barbie movie.
Yeah, or like a rom-com movie of some sort.
And Justin Baldoni is like, this is not a rom-com. This is literally about domestic violence. He has the links to everything in his bio. And that's, like, his only thing that's like, hey, if you or a friend needs help, go here. And then Blake Lively's bio is like, buy my new hair care line.
Yeah, exactly. And it just, like, is super interesting to me because, like we said earlier today, like, Colleen wrote this book from her experience as well. So you would think as the author that you would be pushing the main theme that you were trying to get across in your own book.
Yes.
Yet she's taking sides with Blake Lively and, like, being very, like, yes, let's promote it as a romance movie and take your girls and grab your florals and all of that. Like, that's all Colleen. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, I literally, I'm like, and then also, like, in all of these interviews, Blake Lively literally gives mean girl vibes and also just is, like, atrocious. Like, she is so not nice, or she just, like, rambles on for hours.
And I don't know if this is true because I'm getting this information from TikTok.
Yeah,
so
this is true.
Just word of mouth. But I saw that she did an interview, and like one of the interviewers said, "Oh, I loved your bump," because she's pregnant, and she looked at her back and said, "Oh, I love yours," and she was just referring to the fact that, like, she's maybe a little bit pudgy in her stomach, which, girl, same. But, and then it came out that she can't even have children.
Yeah, she's infertile.
Yeah.
Literally, I saw those clips of the interview, and I'm like, are you, like, you are so mean. I'm like, that is literally not okay. I'm like, she was just congratulating you on your pregnancy. Obviously, you're a little touchy on your way, because that has been, like, a huge issue in most of this stuff.
Yeah.
Too, which is so weird to me.
And then she came out and said, once again, information from TikTok, that she, like, came out and put out a statement saying, like, she didn't feel comfortable working with Justin Baldoni because she felt like he had fat shamed her and that he was lingering too long in the kisses.
Yeah.
And things like that. And then she said...
posted that she started saying that stuff after everyone was starting to like Justin and being like, Blake, why are you such a mean girl? Which, by the way, timing of it's interesting.
In regard to the fat shaming, she said, like, oh, he went to, I don't know if they have, like, a medical
coordinator.
Coordinator, and was like, I have a serious back injury. I want to know what exercises I can do to strengthen my back because I don't want to hurt myself when I have to pick up Blake Lively.
Yeah.
And she said he specifically asked for her weight, which I'm like, I don't think, if that's true, I don't know if it is. I don't think it's necessary to know her weight, but I don't think it's bad of him to be like, hey, I have a really bad back injury. I do think that I probably need to do some exercises. I want to make this the safest situation for both myself and for her.
Yeah.
So, but I understand, I guess, from her point of view, how, like, you could be like, oh, that's so rude. You don't think you can even pick me up?
Yeah. But also, I feel like I have, like, absolutely no sympathy whatsoever because coming from, like, I'm like, one, girlfriend, yeah, you're not a twig. Sorry. And also, like, if we come from cheer, like, I'm like, I was getting lifted, but, like, you were lifting girls for a living. Like, we understand fully. I'm like, just sometimes, some girls are heavier than others. It's how it works.
Yeah, we both did college cheer, the last couple years, and it's very much like, I feel like I'm very desensitized to weight.
Yeah, I mean,
people would look me dead in the eyes and be like, "You're not a flyer," which means, "Sorry, honey, you're too heavy to be put in the air," and you go, fair enough. I am too heavy to be put in the air. Or,
like, I was put as a tippy because, like, getting lifted onto the top of the tippy pyramid because I am very, very small.
Yeah.
And you just know that.
People would look at Abby and say, you're not going to be a mid-layer, which is, like, if you're doing something 3 people high, the person in the middle, because you're too small. You can't lift somebody else.
Yeah,
sorry.
You're not strong enough. You're like, okay.
So when people say that, I understand people get really sensitive to weight, and I feel like I'm not the best person to sympathize with them just because I've been told my whole life that it's like, your weight is what it is. You're too big to do this, so, like, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've fully come to terms with that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the size that I am, and it is what it is.
I think it's so interesting, and then it's like, and along with, like, the kissing thing too, everyone in the comments was like, have you all not seen how in love Justin Baldoni is with his wife? Like,
yeah, I'm sure that was, like, maybe she, and I'm saying this, not trying to validate Blake Lively, but trying to look at both sides of the argument. Yeah. Maybe she did feel that way, but I don't think under any circumstance was Justin Baldoni like, I need to get in my kissing time with Blake Lively.
Well, and I was listening to a podcast too that was talking about it, and she literally goes, so you're telling me, Blake, that one moment he was fat shaming you and disgusted by your body, and then this other time he wants to kiss you for longer and is all of a sudden in love with you. Like, that just, it's not adding up, sweetheart.
Yeah, I'm like, I doubt, maybe he's like, creatively, I think it would be better, and she just felt like, oh, I felt like that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
But once again, you're a professional. Why don't you look him dead in the eyes and say, hey, I don't feel like that was necessary?
Yeah.
He seems, from what I can tell, like a very understanding person. And
Yes.
he seems like he would be mortified to put her in an uncomfortable position.
110%. And also, like, they talked about, like, they had, like, 3, like, romance coordinators.
Oh, like intimacy?
Thank you. Intimacy coordinators. They had 3. And then Blake was also, she goes, Blake was a producer, intimacy director, clothing person, like, brought a bunch of her clothing. Like, she, like, did all of this stuff.
Yeah.
She was, like, and so she was a part of creating a lot of the intimacy scenes. Anyways, I just think it's so bizarre.
Every interview I've seen with Justin Baldoni, he's, like, so gracious. And
Yes.
even though he's having this drama between the cast, he has not said one thing. He's like, it has been such a great opportunity to work with Blake Lively. She's so brilliant. She's so talented.
Yeah.
I think it's really great.
She's ready to direct.
Yeah, that we have somebody who's, I think it's really important to hear, like, a female voice. I don't want it to feel like this is coming from a man. I mean, this is Lily's story. It's important. And then they ask him, and they're like, so are you going to do It Ends With Us? And he's like, no, I feel like Blake's got that covered.
Yeah, no, he's like, I'm done.
Yeah, in the most polite way, saying, like, you know, I already got, like, literally pushed to the wayside on this project. I am not doing the next project. Blake Lively's got it. She's talented. She's beautiful. She can do everything. She
did everything.
Yeah, and I just see that, and I'm like, wow, that is, like, the most corporately correct or, like, politically correct way to say,
I'm like, this man has had some media training. Blake Lively, on the other hand, I think needs some more media training because her interviews were so bad.
And I can't get over. I know this is, like, so late, and we've already established this, but, like, the fashion and the way they dressed her,
so bad.
So bad.
She did it. It was her.
She is so beautiful and so pretty. Nobody's gonna tell you that Blake Lively isn't just drop dead gorgeous, and they successfully made her frumpy.
Yes, I'm like, if you're already a little insecure about your weight, why are you, like, just being like, yeah, put me in this frumpy outfit? I'm like, I would feel terrible in that. I'm like, yeah, maybe that's why she was feeling not great, because that outfit was not doing her any favors.
Even, like, her hair didn't look good the entire movie. She has great hair. Like,
yes.
How are we doing this?
Yeah, no, it's so bad. It's so bad. And I don't know. Also, I was going to say, too, because everyone was like, a lot of people were like, I'm just confused why the entire cast is siding with Blake Lively and no one is with Justin. It's like, obviously, he can't be, like, innocent. But at the same time, I'm like, you have to remember, like, so basically, you have the 2 actors that played the young Atlas and young Lily. I've never heard of them. I think that this is, like, some of, like, their first projects that they've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And same with the guy that plays Atlas. I've never seen him in anything else. So I don't know. I think that they are very young in their, like, careers. And all I'm saying is if you're going to piss off one person, it be Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni, who are you going to choose to piss off and side with?
Yeah, and Blake Lively is a package deal with Ryan Reynolds, which
she's
I'm sure is a package deal with, like,
she's
half
an
of
A-list celebrity, nepo baby, like, so famous, has so much control within the world of Hollywood. Like, I would 100% be like, yeah, I'm going to side with you and tell me what to do, because if I side with Justin, you're probably going to destroy my career, is honestly what I would think.
And I saw that Atlas, whatever his name is, like, put out a statement defending Blake Lively, and he got eaten alive.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even that he was, like, defending Blake, but it was just, like, I felt like the statement was, like, kind of defending Blake, but also just kind of being like, you all need to stop with the hate, and everyone was like, well, I'm sorry, but it seems like I have something to hate on. Like, I don't know. I have to find, what's his name?
I don't know what it is, but I will say it is really interesting to watch people flip sides.
Yeah.
It was, everybody hated Justin Baldoni for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
But then it, like, flipped on its head almost immediately.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it was just, that was what it was. The statement was kind of like being like, basically saying, like, we all put our heart and souls to this. Like, we are trying to spread the awareness of domestic violence and things like that. And we were all like, and everyone's like, really? Because up until now, it hasn't really seemed like you guys were even trying. Justin was the only one.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the conclusion of all the drama, was it just felt like Justin was promoting a movie about DV and spreading awareness for that, and everyone else was promoting this like rom-com romance thing.
I will say, as like a final comment, if you don't have anything else, just
No.
as like a for fun thing, I've watched some of Blake Lively's interviews, and the comments on them are so funny. It's like when you like didn't read the book, but you're writing the essay about it, because she does that thing that I hate, where you say two things that are completely contradictory to each other, and pretend that it like means something really deep.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, she's like silent, but she's strong, but she doesn't know what's going on, but she has her hand in everything, and she does, and you're like, you said so many words to quite literally not say
get
a single
anywhere.
thing.
Well, and there was the interview too. I was honestly surprised the guy that played Atlas came out with a statement, because in interviews he seemed like he was so annoyed with her, because there was an interview, like a Zoom interview, where like this woman was like, Blake, like, you know, this is really gonna touch people, like what are you gonna say if someone comes up to you and be like, you know, like, I have gone through this, like what are you gonna say to them to like maybe like be able to give them like words of wisdom or help them? And she goes, well, I don't know, maybe like share my location, like maybe, you know, we can like do this thing. And the guy that plays Alice is just sitting there and goes like this and just like looks at the ceiling.
That was not the answer.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm just surprised. I think his statement was trying to more defend the movie though than it was Blake. I think people were taking it into like defending Blake, but I genuinely just thought that he was more defending the movie, because in the interviews, you cannot tell me that he had the reactions that he did in those interviews and then still wanted to defend Blake, because he seemed like he was so annoyed.
Yeah. It's so crazy, too, because, like, everybody loves Blake Lively from Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is...
And I also love her and Ryan Reynolds, so...
And I feel like this is the first, like, big project she's been on since Gossip Girl. I know she's been in random things. She did, like, Age of Adeline and some other random stuff.
Yeah.
But
this is true.
It is such a polarizing response from, like, the love she got from Gossip Girl to now.
I know. I'm just so intrigued to see what it was like to work with Colleen, too, because apparently they're supposed to be making Verity into a movie.
Oh, my gosh.
But I'm wondering if how bad everything turned out and how, like, wishy-washy I feel like she was with her own book. I wonder if she's going to end up getting herself, like, blacklisted, because it obviously, there was some rough patches throughout this entire process, and I'm like, this girlfriend can't figure it out. She's not going to get any more movies made about her books.
I'm going to tell you right now, and I probably am in the minority here, so I apologize, but Verity should not become a movie. We do not need that in our lives. Maybe you guys will have to let us know if we should do another book club on Verity, because that's also another
read it.
Polarizing book. And I personally kind of want Abby to read it just to hear her thoughts on it, because it's something. It's something.
I'll have to think about it. All right, anything else?
Oh my gosh, no, we should probably wrap up.
Yeah,
this
sorry, we got way longer than I thought it was going to be. That's like this every week. It's fine. All right, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode. Make sure you guys follow us on all social media. It's just at LA Reads Podcast. And also DM us. If you have any episodes or books that you want us to talk about, let us know. And with that, we will see you all next week. Bye!